Peace, y'all. I'm gonna be speaking real low because everybody resting in the house. Greetings. But I want to be consistent with this in this countdown to my birthday and my journey. So I said I would record this real quick before it's time to lay it down, because that's what I'm about to do, lay it down with everybody else. So this is part 2. And the thing that I wanted to talk about is how I got into this space where being authentic was very important. What I think was the most important part, or the aha moment, was when I was on tour with Public Enemy. And there was an element that was happening. So I was in a girl group, and everybody was like, girl groups don't last, yada, yada, yada. Literally by that time that we were touring, the group had already transitioned from it being a 6-member group to it being a 5-member group to it being a 4-member group to it being a 3-member group, 2, then 1, and then back to 3 or maybe 4. I can't remember. But I remember going through that transitional process. And every time there would be this energy of people coming, trying to get me to do solo projects. And as I was working on building my own solo catalog, I was finding my voice, and I was finding my power and my authenticity of who I really was. Not just music, but like who I was as a woman. And that was such an important journey and dynamic for me at that time. It was in the middle of my marriage. And the man I was married to at that time was my producer, my manager, all different dynamics. And there was, an interesting development that was happening, because in the midst of all of that, I was learning who I was. I was learning who I wanted to evolve into. I was more firm in who that was. It wasn't just a facade anymore. And being on tour with many, many mentors, like I said, with from Professor Griff to Public Enemy, as far as Chuck D, from people that was even Flavor Flav, because the way that y'all see him and the way that we experience Flav was totally different. So being in a position to sit at the feet of a lot of elders, sit at the feet of very wise souls, and very interesting, dynamic people, helped me cultivate who I saw myself, who I saw myself becoming. That's what I can say. Who I saw myself becoming. I had a lot of elders that was speaking life into me, that was speaking this energy into me. And they were like seeing something that I couldn't see. Because at that time I was like young and not really seeing the power that they saw in me. I'm just like, child, I'm just doing this because it's something to do. Like, shit, I'm here. Y'all gave me an opportunity, I'ma shine. That's a Leo. We like, shit, you give us the damn spotlight, we getting ready to shine on you. And when I found my voice, I think it was the most amazing thing for me. And why do I say that? Because it gave me the light and the go ahead to say, stand in who you are. It doesn't matter who's with you and who's against you. It doesn't matter. Stand in who you are. And that, that was the thing. That was like the green light for me. Listen, it was the one dynamic where it gave me the green light to really pull all of this out. All my creativity, all of the artistic and any type of element that I felt resided in me came out. And when it came out, then that's when the things started shifting. Because when you start walking in your authentic self, what tends to happen is you start to create friction with people who are not in alignment. And that's what happened. When I started walking in my truth, I started seeing things for what they were. I started understanding that the friends I was hanging out with, they weren't reciprocating the same energy I was putting into them. I was pouring life into people and they were not pouring life back into me. I was in relationships that was like, I was here, we married, but you're not in alignment with who I am. We making this work, but we not in alignment. You keeping me from being my greatest self because of your own insecurities. Instead of pouring into me and wanting to see. And he was torn as well. But the more that I stood in my power and the more that I stood in who I was, the more the universe started moving people out the way. When I tell you things started falling to the wayside, even the group I was in, and I'm still connected with them sisters to this day. Like I just styled a photo shoot with one of the sisters that was in the group, and I love her dearly. We like starting businesses together and everything. But when I started to stand in my power, friends was leaving, so-called friends, people I done, kicked out some G's for, like people were leaving, things were changing, friction was happening. And I remember at that moment, I was like, damn, why I can't just be normal? That's the question. That was the question. Why I can't just be like everybody else? Why I can't just go along? Why I always got to make waves? Because you're not meant to. And at that point, I realized it was like I wasn't meant to. And it's so interesting because that was the space where at the time, my ex-husband had a friend he had just met. I don't even remember how he met this man. I swear I think he an angel or some sort of spirit. I swear he came in our life out of the blue. This man was homeless. I still don't remember how, and I'm going to have to call him my ex and find out how the hell did you meet this dude? He was homeless. He had moved all the way out here from like Texas or somewhere. Moved here. And somehow he linked up with my ex-husband. So one day he came over and he was reading this book and he was like wanting to listen to something we had recorded. And I was like, what you reading? And he told me. And I was like, what's it about? And he was like, I done read this book several times. He was like, this is one of my favorite books. He said, this is what it gives me drive. It gives me, motivation, yada, yada, yada. And it was Quest of the Pearl. Now, I always put this in the reading group for my mentorship. That book changed my life. Why? Because there was some insight and a jewel that happened in that book at that particular time in my life where I hit a space and I started asking questions that changed who I was. It changed the core of who I was. I would ask questions like, this is how I ended up getting a divorce. I would ask questions like, if my daughter was in the same relationship, would I be okay with it? If she came to me with the same energy, would I be okay with it? What would I tell her? Them type of questions, when you start asking yourself some real shit and start pulling out them real answers, that's when things change. That's when stuff changed. I remember it started creating a sense of peace and a sense of happiness and a sense of purpose that was completely different from the path that I had been already on. And I came in the house and I was smiling and my energy was different and I'm glowing and shit. And I remember he asked me, he was like, "What you all happy about?" And I was like, you ain't in alignment with me. And from that point on, it was like a whole nother path. Like everything started shifting. I stopped running from my success. I stopped running from holding myself accountable for my misery. I stopped running from the things that were actually trying to push me towards my growth. I stopped answering phone calls that was draining my energy. I stopped feeding and pouring into people who were not reciprocating that energy back to me. And it wasn't just the Quest of the Pearl. I remember I was reading I Am That. I think I was reading that. I was reading Quest of the Pearl. And I was reading something else. And I can't think of what the other third book was. But those books, listen, Linda, it was something different. And I was, in my late 20s at that point. And I consider myself highly educated because I have been reading, some deep shit since I was young. But at that point, that's when I started applying the shit I've read. I started actually applying all of this information because, I have been running businesses. I was running businesses since I was 21. I had, been on tour. I had did a lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff by the time I hit 25, for real. And then already had 2 kids and was in a marriage that was not serving me. Okay? Turning down record deals because he was afraid of my success. Listen to me when I tell you. Turning down situations that could have put me in a totally different part of my life at that time because of my light shining too bright for everyone that was around me. And it took that energy, it took the information that I was digesting because I was tired of the same things. It took me operating out of this Leo petty energy that I have sometimes to expand beyond where I had already been. Okay? And when I did that, baby, it was something different. It was something different. It was a whole new level of success. It was a whole new level of who I was and what I wanted and understanding what I needed from that particular phase in my life. And if anybody can take any jewel from this part 2, that authenticity is important. You walking in who you are is important. You sharing your voice, whatever that looks like for you, is important. You never know who you will touch or change or give insight to until you do it. And it's funny because when I started doing music, the music thing was I just wanted to touch one girl. That's how I started. I want to reach one person. That was my goal. It wasn't that I want to reach the whole world. I want to do this. No, I didn't care about it. I've never cared about fame. Let's be clear. I wanted to reach one person. I was like, if I can just show one girl that she don't have to be, not knocking Little Kim, because I do have Little Kim in my playlist. Let's be clear. But At that time, I wanted to show that you didn't have to be Little Kim. You didn't have to be this hardcore thug chick, all right? You didn't have to be her. You could be someone that was like me, that was concerned about our community, that was concerned about the well-being of our community, from a conscious level, from a spirit level, that was concerned about herself, and saving herself in her own music. If you listen to what I was saying, a lot of times, especially from that time in my life, I remember people were thinking I was saying it to help other people, to coming, to them from a certain perspective. That shit was for me. I was writing that from where I was feeling and how I was going through my own personal journey. So finding that voice and sharing your voice and sharing your story, even if it only changes one person, that one person could be changing the world. That one person could, create something amazing. That one person could do something that you didn't even think was possible. You didn't even know you was the trigger. You didn't even know you was the ignite. You was the flame. You was the flicker. It was you, because you decided to stand in your truth and share your story and, about who you are and what you've made your life, or survived through. Because I've survived a lot. Listen, part 3 probably gonna be traumatizing for some of y'all, but I'm sharing it all. I'm gonna make sure that I wanted to record these moments because I was going through my own photo albums and I was going through my own, Facebook memories, and realizing how much I've done and how much I've accomplished and how much I've overcome and how much I made it through, and that I can still stand here and smile and love the same way that I smiled and loved when I was 20. All right. But understanding that power and that energy and what I have came through, and to be able to be in this position today, and honestly come here authentically and say, I love myself more now every day. I wake up with more inspiration and insight and wisdom and gratitude every day. I will that y'all all have the same. We still got a long way to go, but it's a beautiful journey, a beautiful struggle, I like to call it. So enjoy it. Shit, we got this journey. Some of y'all got another journey after this. I ain't trying to come back. I promise y'all. I'm trying to do all the work I can so I ain't got to come back. I ain't trying to come back to this shit. No. Let me look at some of these comments. Let me see. Y'all say it's on time. Yay! Inspiring story of strength. Thank you. You're welcome. Y'all know I'm like so transparent. I be putting all my business in the street. Chad, she said my skin look good. Thank you. I'm drinking more water. I wasn't drinking enough water. My baby was taking all my damn vitamins out of me. He was trying to make me damn shrivel up. He was drinking all the milk. He eat all the damn time. All the damn time. Listen, Linda. Let me see. Oh, somebody said, where's the music? Okay, so if you look up, my name back then was, I had a couple of names. I had Black Widow. I came out in the game with the name Black Widow. So they were calling me Black Widow in the beginning. And I was doing music with cats that were, had like a Wu-Tang type energy, called 14 Ronin. So it was a lot of us that were from different elements or whatnot. And then I evolved and I became Cleo Jones. And the reason why I picked the name Cleo Jones at that time was because my mother named me after the actress Tamara Dotson. And she played Cleopatra Jones in those Black exploitation movies. And when I went to research her, all the things that she stood for and all the things that she represent, I felt at that particular time in my journey were a direct reflection of who I was. Even her style, it was like, oh, that's me. My mama knew who I was before she had me. Like the energy, everything was definitely spot on for me. So if you look up Cleo Jones music, I want to say you might find somebody been trying to tag their little stuff on with mine for whatever reason, but that, or if you look up Crew Girl Order, that was the name of our group. Crew Girl Order was, I think girl was spelled GRRL. You can probably find stuff. I want to say you can find my project for free now. That's been a long time. I was in my 20s when all of that. I'm about to be 40 something years old, so that let you know how long ago it was. They just actually reached out to me to get approval for releasing a song that we recorded when Trayvon died. We recorded a song when Trayvon got murdered. And it's crazy because we even used the phrase, I can't breathe, in the song. And they wanted to re-release it this year after the whole thing with George happened. So it's amazing sometimes when you record stuff and you are in the energy of what you're supposed to be doing, I guess, and how things come right back around. History repeats itself. Crazy as hell. But anyway, that's my tidbit for tonight. I love you guys. I wanted to share. I'm going to try to be consistent. I try to do these things in the morning. I don't like doing them at night because I'll be on zero by the end of the day. But I'm going to try to make sure I get up in the morning and do everything. You can find it, yes, you can find it on YouTube. If you go on to YouTube and probably put in Cleo Jones or Crew Girl Order, you probably will be able to find some old throwbacks or whatnot. I know the Cleo Jones stuff is solo project stuff that everything is on there. I know my first project is on there. And then the Crew Girl Order, you'll see stuff with Chuck D. It's like a video with Chuck D, it's a video with MC Light. I think they got a video when we was doing stuff out with the women in prison. Got a lot of stuff you'll find on there or whatnot. All right, guys, I love you. I'm going to bed. Bye.